Hey everybody. Uh, so I just want to do a quick update um, about the weather threat New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Okay, so this is going to be New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. A slight risk for severe weather. Um, a good chunk of Arkansas, a little bit of Oklahoma, Texas, a little corner here of Mississippi, then a little bit of Kentucky, a little bit of Kansas. Um, I'll get you more details in a moment. I'll zoom right in. So this here, slight risk of severe thunderstorms, southeast Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas, western Tennessee, and western Kentucky. Severe weather is possible from North Texas to the Tennessee Valley, New Year's Eve into early morning hours on Saturday. Storms will be capable of all severe weather hazards, including large hail, damaging winds, and a few tornadoes. So people need to really watch what the weather's going to do. I always like to say, keep an eye on the sky. I know a lot of people are going to be out, they're going to be celebrating New Year's Eve, might not be paying attention to that kind of thing. But the weather could get bad in some spots, especially if there's tornadoes that do touch down. The synopsis: a strong upper level trough is currently situated off the Southern California coast and will continue to move slowly into the southwest today and tomorrow. Another upper level trough is in the process of developing off the Pacific Northwest coast. This feature is forecast to dig southward fairly rapidly on Friday. These two troughs will eventually phase over the southwest into the southern plains. Models have continued to slow the progression of this system, meaning severe weather potential is expected to increase primarily after midnight. At the surface, the strong trough will promote Lee cyclogenesis in the central high plains. The surface low will shift southward through the day until it ejects eastward, along with the upper trough late in the period. A broad region of strong 850 to 500 millibar winds will exist from Texas into parts of the Tennessee Valley. Okay, Arkansas into western Kentucky. While mid-level height falls will be greatest towards Saturday morning, a zone of warm advection is expected to foster storm development ahead of the southward moving cold front. MLK values may only reach 750 to 1,000 joules per kilogram, but effective shear of 50 to 70 knots and greater potential for discrete storms away from the boundary suggests that all severe hazards will be possible. As greater mid-level ascent overspreads the area, storm coverage and interactions will increase. This will likely limit tornado and hail potential with time. Okay, North Texas and southern Oklahoma. Model soundings are very consistent with a layer of dry air subsidence from roughly 850 to 700 millibars. This should act to keep the atmosphere capped until potentially very late in the period when the trough ejects. Though a few storms could form earlier, this dry layer makes updraft intensity a bit uncertain. Scattered storms are likely to develop by Saturday morning in the zone of isentropic ascent near the boundary, and also in a surface trough moving through western Texas. Strong shear and a veering low-level wind profile will mean all severe hazards are possible. Greater potential for linear storm modes and similarly modest buoyancy are expected to keep the severe threat more isolated. Okay, so that is for New Year's Eve, Friday night into Saturday, New Year's Day. All right. So let's look at things a little bit closer. Okay, this is the digital forecast display from the National Weather Service. So you can see here the slight category: Western Tennessee, Southwest Kentucky, a little tiny bit here, Southeastern Missouri, a good portion here in Middle Arkansas, and a little bit here, Eastern Oklahoma. Let me see if I put up not counties, cities. A couple of cities here. I want to put up the big ones. Yeah. Anyway, you know, in little you get the marginal areas, you know, outside of that, and then thunderstorms outside of that. So that's going to be the focus. We'll see where things actually line up. If we switch over to the tornado probability, okay, you've got a little sliver here in the center. This is 5%. Okay, and then the area around it is 2%. Okay, so the 5% almost, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit narrower, but it almost follows the slight category. It is a little bit smaller in size, but you know, covers this western end of Tennessee, cuts across middle Arkansas, and then you get a little sliver here in eastern Oklahoma. All right, and then let's switch over to thunderstorm wind probability. Okay, same thing here. You get this section here, it's 15%. Kind of goes hand in hand with the slight category. All right, everywhere else is 5%. Okay, and then hail, same thing, 15%, and then 5. Okay, just to give you an idea. So next, we're going to take a look at New Year's Day into the day after. Let me switch up all these. So this is going to be, so this is New Year's Day Saturday into Sunday. Okay, good chunk of the southeast in the slight category. Okay, slight risk of severe thunderstorms from the Arklatex into western Appalachians. Okay, widespread thunderstorms are expected from Arklatex to western Appalachians New Year's Day. Once again, all severe weather hazards are possible, including large hail, damaging winds, and a few tornadoes. Okay. The synopsis, it says a positively tilted upper level trough will be centered over the Great Basin at the beginning of the period. This trough will maintain its positive tilt as it shifts eastward across the plains and into the Midwest by 12 Zulu Sunday. Negatively tilted mid-level shortwave trough will move quickly from the southern high plains across the Midwest and Ohio Valley Saturday to the northeast by Sunday morning. A surface reflection of this mid-level shortwave trough is expected to travel along the front, with a most likely path from the Ozarks through the Ohio Valley and into the Mid-Atlantic. However, some timing differences do remain, which could shift both the track and the intensity of the surface low. The 0, we're going to call it 00 Zulu, NAM was, I always pronounce that NAM, so weather model, slower than the GFS and the ECMWF with the ejecting wave, which results in a deeper and more northerly low pressure track. All right. Arklatex into western Appalachians. Severe thunderstorms will likely be going into portions of the mid-Mississippi Valley to the Arklatex at the beginning of the period. Mid-60s dew points are forecast as far north as the Tennessee-Kentucky border, with upper 60s dew points across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. This should be sufficient for at least modest destabilization ahead of storm activity, even with extensive cloud cover in place. Greater instability is expected to develop across Mississippi and Alabama, where upper 60s dew points are expected, and where guidance shows at least some breaks in the clouds, which may allow some surface heating. Strong shear will be in place across the entire warm sector. Expect 60 to 80 knots of mid-level flow and a broad level jet with 50 plus knots of flow and a peak 65 to 70 knots in the Tennessee Valley. Most 00 Zulu guidance shows more back surface flow across the warm sector than what was shown previously due to either a stronger surface low, a farther south track, or slower timing. However, the flow still remains mostly south-southwest across the warm sector, which results in less low-level turning in the lowest 1 kilometer of the hodograph than would be expected for a greater tornado threat. Therefore, differences in storm intensity will be primarily driven by storm mode and regions of locally backed surface flow. The mostly boundary parallel surface flow will also be less favorable for discrete supercell development within the warm sector. The strong shear will favor some supercell structures within linear segments, and clusters with storm mode may remain quite messy. Let's see. Zone of greater severe weather threat likely exists in the northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, Tennessee region, but too many uncertainties remain at this time to add higher probabilities. These uncertainties include questions regarding destabilization north of the Tennessee border with Alabama and Mississippi, timing, intensity, and track differences with the surface low, potentially messy storm mode. Higher probabilities may be necessary in later outlooks if these issues resolve and the zone of greater threat becomes more clear. Okay, so we'll look now at, zoom in a little bit. So this is New Year's Day into the day after. Okay, it's 24 hours ending Sunday, January 2nd, 7 a.m. Okay, so you've got northern Georgia, little tip of South Carolina, western North Carolina, almost all of Tennessee, a little corner of Virginia, bottom portion of Kentucky, good chunk of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, little sliver of Texas, most of Mississippi, most of Alabama, okay, are all in the slight category. All right. Now, if we look at, and that's not going to give me what I want. Yeah, these, of course, these don't go out far enough. These end January 1st. It won't give me which figures. I wonder if this will. So let's see here. If I want, bear with me here for a minute. Yeah, it's only because what I want is day 3, but yeah. So let's go here. Probabilistic. All right. This gives you a total severe probability legend. All right. You're looking at either 5 or 15%. So there's your amount. The yellow is 15, the brown is 5. It's basically shows, look at that. It's basically the same as the slate and the marginal category. So we'll know more tomorrow on that, or actually this will update. So later today, it's currently 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So these maps will update after 7 a.m. So tomorrow I will try and do an update later tomorrow, depending on how things go with my work day tomorrow and the festivities of the day. So pay attention to this weather. The weather's going to change. All this information will, it's one thing about weather. Weather is always changing. So, stay tuned to your local weather. If you got weather apps on your phone, see what they say. Have a weather radio. I love those. Those are pretty awesome. You can listen to the weather forecast right from the National Weather Service observations. Anytime there's an alert, anything like that, that'll come up. Your weather radio, if you have it set up like that, it'll make the little siren will go off. So, like I said, there's a potential there for some severe weather. Just keep an eye on it and be prepared. So I will post updates accordingly. Check out my Facebook, Andrew's Weather page. You can check me out on Twitter. On Twitter, you either search Andrew's Weather page. That might not come up. I don't know why. Or you can choose type in at ARH Weather, and you can find me that way. All right, and I'll be posting some updates. All right, that's it for now. Like I said, post some updates. I'll post an update, so keep an eye on it. All right.